aging of the U.S. population is one of the major public health challenges we face in the 21st century, close quote. That's from the CDC. Welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition. Great to be with you. And that statement is absolutely categorically, cosmically, profoundly true. The aging of the U.S. population is one of the major public health challenges we face in the 21st century, and most likely you and I are part of the problem. Yeah. Glad you could tune in and stop by, spend a moment or two, however long you can. We're here a couple of hours every day, Monday through Friday, in all of our human frailties and moments of, goodness. It's not all bad. And we are always trying to push the envelope a little bit, probe into issues. Yesterday, I stepped into a couple of things that everything from GM Foods, not General Motors, some think it's like General Motors, genetically modified foods, to what was the other issue?
Toxic fish.
Eating fish. And I asked my guest, if you were given a choice, you could only pick one or the other. It's a forced choice. Eat fish 3 or 4 times a week, or take a high-grade pharmaceutical grade, well-made, in other words, fish supplement. Which one would you choose? And, of course, she's smart, and she said, I would choose the supplement. Because, she doesn't want to glow in the dark eating these fish that are so toxic. And, people like to eat tuna and salmon and whatnot, and those tend to hold the toxins, the heavy metals, more so than others. They're pretty fleshy, lots of fat, they got muscle. So that was yesterday. Today I'm pushing it on a little bit on I'm writing a series on aging, and the first part 1 is the status of aging. That will be published next month. Turns out that since 1900, while the population in the United States tripled, the number of older adults, that is people 65 or older, that's how I'm operationalizing it, increased at a faster pace from 11-fold, from 3.1 million in the year 1900 to 35 million back in 2000. Now, this fast-paced growth of the elderly population will continue. There's no doubt. Why? As the baby boomers, these are people born between 1946 and 1964, begin to turn 65. They started that a couple of years ago or so, a few years ago. Between 2020 and 2030, the number of older persons is projected to increase by almost 18 million, as the last of the large baby boom cohort will reach age 65. With 1 in 5 Americans, then 20% of the population or better, being 65 or older by 2030. Think about that. Now, what can be described as a dramatic demographic shift involving Americans 65 and older is projected to more than double from 46 million currently, which is now, to better than 98 million by 2060. With the 65 and older age group's share of the total population increasing nearly 24% from 15%. So by 2060, nearly a quarter of the population will be 65 and older. You just got to wrap your head around that for a second and think about it from a medical complex. How are we going to take care of those people, to government regulations, insurance, and medical insurance and whatnot. I don't need to be an actuarial expert to tell you that it's not sustainable. Medically speaking, from an insurance perspective, this is not sustainable. universal insurance will be invoked at some point. It will happen. I'm just telling you, you may resist it, you may not like it, you can call it socialism, you can call it anything you want. That's one of the implications of all this. Who's going to take care of these people? In my article, you'll find out, and in the series, yes, we're living longer. We got a couple things. We got more older people. We got more older people living longer. And thirdly, we got more older people living longer, but not healthier. They're sick. This is what you have here are two trains coming at one another on the same track, and you can sit there and watch the collision.
It was explained to me in my political science class that that's what I have my degree in international studies. And you talk about the World Health Organization all the time, and which is really comes up because it's one of those things about self-medication that came up. We're going to end up being a society where we have pushed the medical profession to a point where you can't be a doctor anymore because, one, it's too expensive, or two, nobody wants to do it because of the ramifications.
They can't make
sued.
money.
Yeah.
Well, they're getting sued and they can't make money.
So we're going to go to a society of self-medicating and self-treating, and you see that now with these links where your health insurance company is having you do video over a computer or even over your phone to talk to a doctor.
Yeah.
Or sometimes you don't even get to a doctor, you get a nurse practitioner.
Jim Lavelle, my guest, is pretty dialed into this stuff. He's an expert in a lot of things and has a clinical practice. He has an interesting background. And he's also an educator for Wampanoag of America and spokesperson. Jim, welcome back to the show. Real quickly, you have any reaction to my comment?
I don't know. I'm getting so old I can't remember what I was going to say.
Well,
yeah,
beside that.
You guys know I teach A4M. I'm one of their chairpersons for the Anti-Aging Medical Society, and so this is an area that we talk about all the time, and do a lot of education. The one thing I would say is there are a lot of doctors and other healthcare professionals that are moving towards trying to create, for lack of a better term, a lifestyle or a wellness-based medicine to meet this need. Now, I think it's way underserved, right? You have 450,000 physicians out there, and you got maybe a couple thousand getting educated on kind of looking at more a well-care experience where people are really learning about detoxification, hormone management, stress management, how we going to get the inflammation out of your body. But I think, it's not that it's a little too much, a little too late. It's just, we're behind on it. It's different. Other cultures, kind of wellness is embedded in them. When you go to Greece, you go to Italy, it's embedded in them. And here, not so much. So I think it's an interesting construct that we've got that we're going to be faced with.
The way we live and the way we eat. Now, you don't need a degree in anything to figure out that those two factors, they're big variables because there's variables within them. Those two dimensions account for most of the variance as to how you will do in your life with your health, how you live and how you eat. Also, where you live, with whom you live, why you're living, all those things come into play too. We get around to all of that sooner or later around here. And this series on aging, it's one of my favorite topics. It involves, it's just perfect for this format because it involves everybody. Nobody gets out of here without aging and without, the end point.
At Country, the perfect complement to your beauty regimen, try Form Essentials Zinnia. The finest of its kind, Zinnia offers twice as much biotin as other formulas, which has proven to unlock the vibrancy in even the dullest of hair, skin, and nails. Zinnia breaks through and rejuvenates cells internally, helping you achieve the allure of effortless beauty. Reviving your hair, skin, and nails has never been easier. This essential blend of biotin, alpha-lipoic, and hyaluronic acid, collagen, and vitamin C creates lasting enhancements to your natural good looks. Don't go on wondering. You're worth the results. This combination of ingredients can only be found in Zinnia. Pamper yourself with a proven bit of affordable luxury and start looking your best. Ask for Zinnia by name at your nearest vitamin retailer to begin your journey to restored nails, head-turning hair, and radiant skin today. For more information, visit formessentials.com.
When your alarm goes off, do you jump out of bed with excitement? Or does it take multiple alarms, a few snooze buttons, or a morning caffeine fix to get you going? These habits and daily stress cause a vicious cycle in which sleep becomes increasingly elusive. In fact, 54% of Americans report struggles to fall or stay asleep. For a better night's rest, look no further than Solace, an all-natural dietary supplement that supports healthy sleep and relaxation, so you get the rest you need to wake up clear-eyed, alert, and ready for the day. Solace has given thousands a better night's rest and the power to take back their mornings while enjoying the day ahead of them. Solace is formulated with non-addictive, scientifically proven, all-natural ingredients that support sleep and relaxation, such as melatonin, tryptophan, and 5-HTP. For more information or to order Solace, visit takesolace.com. Solace for healthy sleep naturally.
Here's something to think about. Worldwide, and you know me, show me the data. There is archaeological data, evidence, and diverse historical documentation which show that for millennia, human life expectancy, remained consistently between 25 and 35 years of age. That was it. And by somewhere around the 1840s or somewhere in there, in some parts of Europe, that went up to about 45 years of age. In the year 1900 in the United States, 47 was average life expectancy. Today, in the U.S., it's about 78 years of age. That all sounds pretty good, right? Well, yes and no. As I said, we'll talk about this, and I'll write about it. We'll unpack it. We'll explore it. We'll try to speak. Not try. We'll speak truth to power. I'll probably you hear me talk about things you're not going to like in terms of what we're going to need to do about it, because it has great political, philosophical, religious, societal implications. This is a heavy-duty topic. No joke. Jim, welcome back to the show. Tell the listener and the viewer what you do for a living.
Well, obviously I've got a clinical practice where I tear people's chemistries apart and try to give them good guidance on lifestyle and what they should be doing. And I work in a couple different arenas. I mean, I work with professional athletes, retired athletes, working with the new NFL Hall of Fame Village, so the Institute for Hall of Fame Life, which is kind of taking cutting-edge technologies in the both integrative medicine space and traditional medicine space, and applying them, in the community at large, as well as for ex-athletes. And then in addition, probably train 5,000 docs a year on anti-aging medicine. I've written 20 books. Stay pretty busy and passionate about really getting to the source of how we can keep people to live a more vital life. I mean, the whole process of this aging piece, it's kind of interesting, right? I mean, if you have vitality and you're able to participate in society, and you see people that are working into their 70s and they feel good about that, that's a whole different game than I'm starting on my anti-cholesterol medication at age 50. I'm on my Lipitor, so then I'm going to be on my diabetes meds. Now I'm on my arthritis meds. All of those things starting to create metabolic load on an individual that ends up creating a chronically ill person that needs a lot of care in order to survive. So, from my end, it's all about how do we get that vitality to shine through. It's just really important, and that's what I've spent my life doing. So, clinician, do a lot of consulting in industry, a lot of writing, and then development programs in this space.
Okay, so you said a lot there, and you're a busy guy, and you're doing good things. I can tell you, there are thousands of people that listen and watch this show every single day, and I'm going to tell you right now, there's more than a few asking this question or thinking to themselves, okay, big shot, what are the 2 or 3 things I need to do right now?
What's easy
to live longer with quality of life? I'm telling you, they're asking that question, and can you give them an answer?
Yeah, the most basic would be change your diet. That's the most basic. And
to what?
What's the right diet?
To what?
Well, okay, that's a great question. I think the first step is eat more plants. So eat more plant-based foods, eat 3 vegetables to every fruit, try to get to 9 servings a day. That's crazy. Only 12% of Americans right now even eat 5. So I'm giving you radical information to say eat 9. I remember I was criticized in my metabolic code book by some journalist that said, well, Val recommends only eating 9 to 12 servings of vegetables and fruit a day. You should be allowed to eat as many as you want. And I was like, yeah, I'm trying to give people an unrealistic goal.
Nine servings of vegetables a day. That would be the minimum. That would just, that would get you.
I'm with you.
That's not the maximum. That's the minimum. Do you remember a day when it was 3 and then it went to 5 fruit and then it went to 7? Now we're at 9, right? So you're saying, okay, change the diet.
People should change your diet. People should eat more plant foods. And look, here's a couple of real simple things. Try about trying to fast between meals.
Fast.
Right? We don't need to eat all day, and we have to watch how much sugar and how many carbohydrates we eat. We're in a You like data? 50% of the U.S. population is either diabetic or insulin resistant right now. And yes, we can point to glyphosates and pesticides. We can point to a lot of other issues, but the bottom line is people overfeed.
Okay, so now that you said that, there are more than a few people listening and watching the show today that were instructed by some nutritionist, dietitian, expert, whatever. You need to graze all day. That's what they were told to do.
Wow. I'm sorry to hear that.
Oh, that message is out there in full bloom, brother.
Yeah, I know it is. And, when you look at that, when you look at every time you eat, you spike your cortisol in addition to making your insulin go up, so you never get digestive rest in your intestines. So there's the concept of a digestive rest where you eat, you utilize the nutrients, and then you reset, right? Mm. And the other piece about that that's interesting is if you eat according to the circadian clock, which has been highly proven at this point, when you look at all the restricted feeding information coming out.
Hold your thought on the clock, and we'll come back. So far, I asked them, what do you need to do? Eat more plants and don't eat so much throughout the day. So far, so good.
I'm Joy McCarthy, holistic nutritionist, and I expect more from my multivitamin. I've researched many vitamins, and what's truly different about Every Woman's One Daily from New Chapter is that it's fermented with probiotics and whole foods and gentle even on an empty stomach. Every Woman's One Daily helps you feel good every day, giving you immune, energy, and stress support and nutrients for bone and heart health. You will notice a difference. Every Woman's One Daily recently won the Best Multivitamin Award, and I love that it's non-GMO project verified. Discover the wisdom of nature with New Chapter.
Whether you spend your free time on a treadmill, under a car, or in your garden, if your active lifestyle leaves you sore, Body Vigor's Inflammaforce may be exactly what you need. Inflammaforce has a natural herb blend that acts as an anti-inflammatory to help maintain healthy joint and mobility support. There are standardized herbs like white willow, boswellia, turmeric, ginger, and devil's claw. The vegetarian capsule promotes easy digestion and a fast-acting dissolve process. Inflammaforce includes a proprietary enzyme herbal blend full of antioxidants and flavonoids that target pain and inflammation throughout the body. Body Vigor's Inflammaforce contains ingredients that support normal, healthy joint flexibility and function, builds healthy tissue, and helps with your recovery process. So if you're tired of sore joints and inflamed muscles, Body Vigor's Inflammaforce is your answer. Purchase Inflammaforce.
Jim Lavelle's my guest today. He's a practicing clinician and specializes in the issue of aging. The term that's often used in the business is anti-aging. Some people take issue with all of that. That's a story for another day. Nevertheless, what you hear him saying, I asked him the question, what are the 2 or 3 things people need to do to live longer with quality of life? 1, move to more of a plant-based diet, up to at least 9 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. Fast between meals. Don't be grazing all day, which is running counter to this advice that's now flourishing out there all over the place. And whatever else he says, at the end of the day, the things that he's saying are going to do at least 2 things. Keep your arteries flexible and plaque-free, and keep your immune system robust. You're only as old as your arteries are, and you're going to only live as long as your immune system will let you. Jim, welcome back.
Hey, it's good to be back.
Okay, so the third piece of advice, you say, eat by the clock, the circadian clock. What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, our body, literally, if you look at our biochemical functions, our body is meant to take in food during the day, and then it's meant to restore and rebuild at night. And when you eat food during the day, you trigger things like higher cortisol. You lose your ability to burn fats. It alters your lipid metabolism. It's all out of the Keck Center. They've done a lot of this research, which is, of course, the Center for Longevity at USC, University of Southern California. And they're, leading researcher in the world on longevity, which is, I think, a better term than anti-aging. But longevity is this process of going, okay, how should we be eating? What should we be doing? And I think what you said earlier was really important in that, we do have this issue of you age and your arteries end up getting stiff. And so you've got to keep your arteries pliable so that you can end up, delivering oxygen and delivering nutrients throughout your body and carry away waste products. And then the second piece of that is, because I mentioned right away that inflammation as we age is a big issue. So keeping your immune system in balance is important. So when you eat less starch and sugar, don't spike your insulin all day long by eating all day long. Eat by a circadian clock so it matches the rhythms of your hormones, and eat more plant foods. You start to accomplish that. And then it's, of course, watch that stress hormone, cortisol, that it doesn't get overspiked because it wreaks havoc on your chemistry.
Sure.
And then what do you do for the byproduct of that? Well, I mean, we've talked about it before, Michael. I mean, one of my favorite products in the world, if somebody's going to reach for one product for the 21st century person that's trying to live a longer life, have longevity, that's aged garlic extract.
Absolutely.
I mean, by far, I don't know of a single thing you could take. You talked about fish oil versus fish. Or how about garlic versus aged garlic, right? Eating garlic is good. Taking aged garlic changes your life because of when you age the garlic, you change the chemical composition of it. You take aged garlic extract, now proven benefits of endothelial function, meaning your arteries are more pliable, more flexible, and more resilient. Reducing plaque buildup in your arteries and normalizing the inner lining of your arteries. Those are big. And then it, obviously reduces oxidized LDL, which is what causes us the plaque. It improves our body's stress response to our blood vessels. A lot of people don't realize that. When you take aged garlic, your blood vessels are able to respond to stress in a more healthy way so they don't get stuck. So that's called the maintenance of vagal tone. So we lose vagal tone as we age, and that means our vessels can't respond. We stand up, we get dizzy, we get under exertion, our blood vessels can't respond, we have a stroke, we throw an embolism. That's really important.
So did you say, what? It didn't come across real clear because it sort of broke up. Did you say vagal or bagel?
Bagel tone. Yeah, you know what? My next book's going to be, I want my bagel back. And the next thing, the next line's going to be, too bad.
Too bad. So garlic versus aged garlic. This is interesting. I was commenting on this yesterday. I was reporting on the norovirus that's spreading all over the place in in South Korea during the Olympics, and the rhinovirus, the athletes are getting sick like nobody's business, and some of them they're eating raw garlic till it's coming out of their ears. I said, you're doing it the wrong way, man. You should have taken a case of Kyolic aged garlic extract with you. It would have been much better off doing that before and while they were there. Nevertheless, you make some interesting points here. Keeping your arteries flexible, keeping them unplaqued, if you will, as much as you can, and keeping your immune system in balance. All of that, it's easy to say. We're only talking about one thing here to do so far, and that is, from a dietary supplement perspective, take Kyolic aged garlic extract. That you have talked about that for a long time. I suspect you've worked that into your clinical practice too.
I use Kyolic all the time. I mean, I think it's in terms of even the immune benefits. I mean, they've shown in human beings, not rats, but in humans, when you take aged garlic extract, you improve or upregulate your gamma delta cells, which are immune cells in your intestine, which are really critical for fighting off colds and flus. So I said, if you were going to take one thing, I think there's more things people should consider taking, right? I mean, there's no doubt that making sure they have enough vitamin D, making sure that their magnesium status is good. Probably, and guess what? When you start to eat more organic vegetables, hopefully grown in really mineral-rich soil, which there's no guarantee of that, you're going to get those trace minerals, and maybe you don't need to take as many of them. But what I like about aged garlic, if you think about aging, there's an immune component, there's a circulatory component, there's the direct effect of blood sugar and delivering glucose to your cells component. And aged garlic really goes across all three of those areas pretty well. I mean, there's some interesting evidence that aged garlic upregulates a compound called adipinectin, which, basically is it's a compound your body makes. It keeps your insulin receptors working, right? And the lower your adipinectin in your body, and I measure adipinectin all the time, the lower it is, the more oxidative stress you're under. And for your listeners, that means the more the rate of rusting is occurring in your body. What's a quick way you can check that? Do a pH on yourself. Go buy pH strips, check the saliva of your saliva, check your urine. If your saliva pH is below 7, you're too acidic and you're accelerating your rate of rusting and accelerating your aging process. Eating vegetables will help clean that up. Making sure you're detoxifying and that your vessels are good and that you can carry oxygen and carry away toxins, that will help with it. And obviously drinking plenty of water, which is another one that we do a lot of lip service about these really simple things: get sleep, diet, exercise. Guess what? They actually work, but you got to start getting behavioral change in people who've been taught a pill will fix your ill.
That's right. We'll be back.
Whether you spend your free time on a treadmill, under a car, or in your garden, if your active lifestyle leaves you sore, Body Vigor's Inflammaforce may be exactly what you need. Inflammaforce has a natural herb blend that acts as an anti-inflammatory to help maintain healthy joint and mobility support. There are standardized herbs like white willow, boswellia, turmeric, ginger, and devil's claw. The vegetarian capsule promotes easy digestion and a fast-acting dissolve process. Inflammaforce includes a proprietary enzyme herbal blend full of antioxidants and flavonoids that target pain and inflammation throughout the body. Body Vigor's Inflammaforce contains ingredients that support normal, healthy joint flexibility and function, builds healthy tissue, and helps with your recovery process. So if you're tired of sore joints and inflamed muscles, Body Vigor's Inflammaforce is your answer. Purchase Inflammaforce exclusively on Amazon.com.
So glad you could tune in today. Thanks for stopping by. Jim Lavelle's my guest. And, things are said quickly. A lot of content flies by pretty fast. Everything is archived and on demand at letstalknutrition.com, audio and video. Then on YouTube, you'll find video. Facebook, you'll find video. Right? Our website at Let's Talk Nutrition, you'll find video and audio. So we're all over the place. Jim, welcome back. How much okay, let me ask you this. Is there any benefit in eating raw garlic?
Of course.
What's that?
Sure there is. I mean, there's definitely antibacterial benefits to eating raw garlic. I mean, the issue becomes, one, how people tolerate it. It's pungent. It can upset some people's stomachs. Some people smell from it, right? The stinking rose. And it's understanding that, well, if you asked, should you eat cabbage or sauerkraut? If you like both, would you say, well, I can only eat cabbage? When you take garlic and age it, it just changes its composition into a more medically valuable compound. But regular garlic, I mean, there's no doubt it has antibacterial effects. I think that it does it in a different way, meaning that it's not upregulating your immune system as much to improve the way you fight things off. It's having a direct antibacterial effect because of the volatile oils that are in it, right? So it's having more of a direct kill, but you run that with the risk of, hey, it's burning my stomach, gee, I smell, I can't do this every day. So there's issues. But raw garlic is fine.
Okay, let me ask you. The compound allicin, all right? Everything, all these different companies, many of these different companies in their marketing talk about the allicin in their product. Give us the 411 on allicin.
Well, I mean, allicin's a compound that is in raw garlic. I mean, as soon as you peel the garlic, as soon as you crush the garlic, it starts to degrade. And there's no real reliable allicin content garlic on the market. I mean, it's been assayed for a long time through a lot of different products. And total allicin content is kind of one of those goofy little stories that really needs to go away in terms of garlic quality.
Explain. Tell the listener what you're talking about.
So, allicin is basically a compound that when you manufacture garlic, it goes away, meaning that it degrades and it isn't in there. So when people talk about TAP, total allicin potential, it's on the bottle, TAP, T-A-P, total allicin potential. When you assay those bottles for allicin, it's very rare that there'll be any allicin in them, or it never meets that criteria because allicin is a very volatile or unstable compound that ends up degrading. So you don't have it. You're buying something that you don't get what it says is on the label.
I'm looking here. I was looking for the half-life of allicin. It's not very long, meaning once
yeah, exactly. That's the problem.
You do a blood test on somebody trying to find the allicin in their bloodstream after eating garlic, you're going to have a hard time finding it, right?
It ain't going to happen. Not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. And yet, that concept, that compound, is used in marketing, and companies will say our product is better because we got got more allicin in this product than you have sense, and it's
right.
It's a lie. Let me be blunt. It's a lie.
Exactly. That's it. But I mean, guess what? So was the safety of ibuprofen, right? I mean, we're faced with these healthcare lies all the time. I mean, I'm not saying ibuprofen doesn't help people, but nobody realizes that it really hurts as many people as it does either.
Yeah.
So, really important for people to understand you've got to study your health and study what you're going to put in your body so that it makes sense for you scientifically, and more importantly, hey, and here's a novel concept, Michael. Maybe you should figure out if it helps you to feel better.
Yeah. How much kyolic aged garlic extract a day do you think? What would be a therapeutic dose, meaning a dose that will make a difference?
Well, 1,000 milligrams a day will make a difference. I take 2,400 a day. So I take 4 capsules a day of the reserve. If you're into helping your immune system, they have a Formula 103 that's pretty amazing. It's got mushrooms in it. It's got the medicinal mushrooms in it. It's got some astragalus in it. It's some nice olive leaf and oregano in it. So if you're looking for an immune support, because you were talking about the rhinovirus ripping through the Olympians, Formula 103 is awesome for that. You take a couple capsules, 2-3 times a day. For my daily maintenance, I try to get in about 2,400 a day, at least 1,200 a day. The studies would tell you 1,000 a day is where you want to land.
Okay.
At least.
Is it a water soluble or a fat soluble compound?
It's all water soluble. That's the beauty of it. When you age garlic, what it does is it gets rid of all the fat soluble compounds, or what's called the volatile compounds, that end up creating the odor when you take garlic. And it makes a lot of water-soluble compounds that support your immune system and your detoxification processes. So water-soluble, easy to take, no stench, no odor. And, oh, by the way, there's no known drug interactions with it. You can't eat garlic. You can't take Allison pills, fake Allison pills, if you're on medication.
So the athletes in South Korea that are eating all this garlic, they're stinking up the place. They're not getting this out. I didn't get sick. Well, they offended everybody to the extent that nobody would even get near them, so there's no contact. It had nothing to do with chemistry. It has something to do with social chemistry, but it doesn't have anything to do with your immune system.
The great social experiment. Everybody eats 10 cloves of garlic a day.
I ate garlic and I didn't get sick. Yeah, because nobody would get near you. James, thank you so much. I'll see you in California, pal.
All right.
I'll see you at Expo West.
Thanks for having me on the show.
It's our pleasure. Tell Jay Levy we said hello and that we miss him, okay? All right, we'll be back. We're heading to the top of the hour. You'll get the news, weather, and comic books or whatever else you all do during the breaks. We'll see it at 10:06. Welcome to the show. Great to be with you. Thanks for stopping by. Glad you could do it. We're glad to do it too. People say to me, gee, it's great to see you. I say, no. It's better to see you, for sure. And you can see us. If you go to letstalknutrition.com, you can watch the show there. You can watch it on Facebook. You can watch it on YouTube. You can watch it on the NASA satellite. I don't know if we're there or not. But, yeah, we're around. And, of course, we're in coast to coast, including Hawaii, 60-plus markets. Please support your local radio station that airs this show. Please do that. And if, people listen to the radio, they don't even know what station they're listening to. Pay attention to that. And then, drop them a line. They probably have a website. Send them a little note. Say, listen to your station. We like that Let's Talk Nutrition show that you air, whatever time they air it. Let them know. There are real people in those stations. Trust me. The program directors, managers, station managers, owners, they're good people.
I worked at a station that was about the size of, we have 2 offices here and where we broadcast from, and they're probably they're probably about 12 by 20. And that's how big the station was, but it covered the entire county.
I know. It's the complex that we're in is huge.
You'd go get coffee in the morning and people, you do that now here, which I just thought is amazing. You go get coffee down the road and there was, hey, Dr. Garko. And it's just,
they know who you are.
Yeah, they know who you are.
They know who you are. And it's this complex, this is the iHeartMedia complex. Not all our stations are iHeartMedia. Many are, independent and whatnot. Yes. We love them.
I have a question from Willie who asks, I'm getting ready to go to I'm 44 years old. I'm going to my primary care physician for the first time in 3 years. Ooh. I need blood work done. What should I ask them to do?
Well, typically they take that decision away from you. And, they'll do a standard, whether that's SMEC 25 or whatever. You certainly want your lipid panel done, for sure. Now, some of these doctors they're very funny about doing blood tests. You're asking, say, well, I want a hormone panel done. They'll say, what for? Well, because I want to know. And you certainly want your PSA, Willie. You want to know what your PSA is, your prostate-specific antigen test. You want that done. But if he'll do a lipid panel, yes, he'll do that for sure. That'll give you your cholesterol and blah, 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 all that stuff. But I don't know. Doctors are funny about that. Just depends on the doctor. I mean, I would certainly get my traditional blood test where they're measuring all the standard things. Now, if you have certain health issues, you could ask for certain tests that would get a sense of the level of inflammation in your body. Cleveland Clinic, the doctor that I go to, I have a couple of physicians. We do a bunch of tests from the Cleveland Clinic. They're some of them are exotic, and the cost is not that much. Most of it's covered by insurance. That becomes the issue. Is it covered by insurance? So he wants his, a lipid panel done. He wants his PSA done. Complete. There's a CBC, a complete blood count. That you probably get most of that done. I get blood tests all the time because I'm under surveillance, so to speak. Well, that's what they call it. It's surveillance. It's not like I'm in a witness protection program of sorts. Of sorts, you are. Yeah, that's how it goes. But when you get after you've been diagnosed with cancer and treated, and then they surveil you literally. Of course, the authorities use that term. They're surveilling a suspect. Well, they surveil the patient too. Yeah, I have Dr. McElwain's my internist, regular physician, and a rheumatologist, internist and rheumatologist. Then I have an quote unquote an anti-aging physician who will do more. But Dr. McElwain's up for those tests as well. I'll ask him. Sure, I'll do that, Dr. Garko. Absolutely. He's dialed in. So I have a very progressive, although traditionally trained physician taking care of me, my day-to-day physician. He's very progressive and is up for these things. In fact, asks me about things that he can include in his practice. So, it just depends on the doctor. He certainly he wants to know his cardiovascular health. He wants some measure of that. How much inflammation is he running now? He could, again, I could ask Dr. Shunny. She has a practice. Let me ask her. Hey, May.
I'm over here going like, oh, me, pick me, I know.
He said, it's like, like I just saw you yesterday. Hey, May, what's that? Hi, Dr. Shunny. Long time no see, man, I missed you. Where you been?
Oh, man, I know. I miss you, too. I'm so happy to, there's nobody else that I'd get up on Valentine's Day to talk to at this hour where I am. Nobody.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I miss you, too. It's really great to talk with you.
Oh, it's better to talk to you. Yeah, I really miss you. You haven't been on for a good while. What would you tell a middle-aged man? What should he have done in his blood test?
Well, first thing I want to say is, how did 44 get to be middle-aged? Because it sounds really young to me. Anyway.
Sounds young to me, too.
I know, right? So for me, I'm going to look at a lot of the things you mentioned, the CBC, complete blood count, the SMAC panel that you said, that's also sometimes called a metabolic panel, which is basically looking at electrolytes, liver function, kidney function. There'll be a fasting blood glucose in there as well to look at sugar. Most doctors will order a standard lipid panel. And, that's where it will end. I would say for a 44, 45-year-old male, they might throw a PSA in there as well. Some docs will throw a vitamin D in there.
What about his What about his hormones? What about his testosterone, his estrogen, his progesterone, and so on?
Exactly.
What about that?
Right. So what I just mentioned would kind of be the standard. What I would want to see in addition, right, is I'd want a full thyroid panel, TSH, free T4, free T3. I would want to look at hormones, including free and total testosterone, and DHEA as a minimum, and might also, depending on what's going on, or if he's taking testosterone or things like that, throw in estrogen, DHT, progesterone, other byproducts. But I might not start with that, but I'd certainly start with free and total testosterone and DHEA for a male. I also like to look at free and total PSA, not just the total bound PSA. That's something that, your anti-aging, quote-unquote, doc might do for you also. I also like to expand the parameters of some of those regular labs I just mentioned. For example, I don't just like to look at a fasting blood sugar. I like to also look at a hemoglobin A1C, which is a marker of 3 months of blood sugar. I like to look at insulin as well, particularly if somebody is having some weight issues. I like, if I can get a more expanded lipid panel so I can look at particle size and shape. I like to do that because I think there's much more meaning there than just my total cholesterol is this and my bad cholesterol is this. There's a lot of other information, and I definitely like to do a high-sensitivity C-reactive protein, which is an inflammatory marker that's very well correlated with cardiovascular risk. So, my average annual blood work is going to be much more extensive. But like you said, I don't use Cleveland Clinic. I use something called Boston Heart Diagnostics.
We'll be right back.
Have you discovered that your post-activity
Almost 52% of men experience erectile dysfunction and benign prostatic hyperplasia. If you've had challenges with virility, sexual health, or low energy, Body Vigor's Alpha Extension may be the answer for you. Body Vigor's Alpha Extension can help revitalize your alpha male and extend your love. Our formula is one of the highest quality nutraceuticals available, formulated to support the processes involved in promoting a healthy male sex drive, energy, and stamina. Alpha Extension has 2 powerful herbal blends, Virilo Max, which focuses on male sexual health, and T-Pump Activator, which helps balance your testosterone levels. Revitalize your alpha male with Body Vigor's Alpha Extension, exclusively available on Amazon.com.
Dr. Amay Shani is my guest in this portion of the show. Dr. Amay has been on my show for a good while. She appears, then disappears, appears, and then disappears. I don't know where she goes, but I know she's in California, and she did have to get up early, and we appreciate her doing that. Dr. Amay, welcome back. How's your practice coming along?
Oh, my practice is great. I have such fantastic patients.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really lucky.
And what do you specialize in?
I specialize in women's health and hormone balancing, and of course the hormone balancing part extends to men as well. But I do see men, women, and children for a variety of issues. I would say I do a tremendous amount of digestive health as well. But those are my areas of expertise. If you made me only pick a few,
I understand. So what do you make
but
of?
Yeah.
Go ahead. What were you going to ask me?
I was just gonna say, but I do. When you say how the practice is going, I mean, I've been in practice for almost 17 years now.
Oh my God! You only look like you're 17. You've been doing this for 17 years.
Oh, in June, in June, yeah. And I feel so grateful. It's not, it's challenging. It's very challenging work. The people that naturopathic doctors and integrative practitioners in particular see are folks who often have complex, complicated, layered issues. They're people who have often been very disappointed and frustrated with conventional care already, so it's rigorous, challenging, ever expanding work.
Do they have a higher expectation for a naturopathic physician? They expect you to do things that the allopath couldn't do, and does that create a problem for you?
That's a great question. I mean, obviously, I don't know what an allopath deals with in their regular practice, but I definitely, people are coming in and wanting you to really be able to solve these incredibly difficult puzzles. And I would say that with the advent of the internet and people being able to go online and do a tremendous amount of research and be in chat rooms and come upon some great information as well as some really not great information, people come in with a very serious agenda. They come in very knowledgeable, and yeah, it's hard. I mean, sometimes I have to say no. Sometimes I have to say this is what I can't do. I can't do that. I don't know how to do that. I don't know the answer. And sometimes I have to refer people to somebody else. But that's all part of.
Do you ever refer them to a traditional physician?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I often wondered. I never wanted to be in clinical practice.
Yeah.
So I steered away from that. But I kept. Naturopathic physicians and some of these folks that claim to be naturopaths. I mean, I wouldn't let them look at my cat.
Yeah,
I wouldn't. Where they went to school. I mean, they didn't go to medical school. They didn't go to a naturopathic medical school. Where they had to do all the things that they do in traditional medical school and then some.
Exactly.
And they did this. They got this degree online.
It's hard on the consumer to figure that out, right? Because unfortunately, with naturopathic doctors not being licensed nationally, it's very different from state to state. And in an unlicensed state, anybody can call themselves a naturopathic doctor, and you can get a degree online and never even put hands on a patient. And of course, that's very different than the 5-year, rigorous residential coursework that you get if you go to one of the accredited schools. So yeah, it's challenging. There's a lot of education that still needs to happen for the public.
So there's something trending out there in the world of natural medicine, maybe even in traditional medicine. They're now looking at it too, and that's the use of marijuana in medical practice, the use of cannabidiol, CBD oil from hemp. I'm talking with you previously. I know that you're a fan of cannabidiol, CBD oil, as it's derived from hemp. And from my memory serves me, you have integrated it into your practice a bit, haven't you?
I have, and I think I talked to you, right in the beginning when I was first doing it, which means that first conversation was about 2 years ago, because it's been about 2 years that I've been using it in my practice now.
That's right. And what do you think?
I think it's fantastic. I think that what I didn't understand as I started to explore CBD was this concept that we actually have an endocannabinoid system. I didn't know. I certainly wasn't taught.
It wasn't in my anatomy and physiology book in my court. Was it in yours?
No, heck no.
No,
Absolutely
heck no.
not.
No, go
But
ahead.
That's changing.
Yeah.
That's changing. But yeah, in the 1990s, which gosh, in timeline, in a scientific timeline, that's yesterday, right? In the 1990s, scientists discovered an entirely new physiologic system, so you digestive system, endocrine system, cardiovascular system, you have an endocannabinoid system, which is almost like, if I had to visualize it, I picture it like this net that goes over the whole body. It goes over all of the other systems, and its main job is to create homeostasis and balance.
You know how being a man, you know how I think about it? The endocannabinoid system is the foreman, or the foreman on the job, managing the work site, all the different, the bricklayer, the plasterer, the plumber. That's right.
Yeah, I like it.
Right.
That's really good.
The person that's managing the job site.
Yes.
That's sort of how I think. I like that. I like your metaphor too, and a net overarching. Yeah, when we come back, I want to see how you work it into your practice, for what patients, for what kinds of situations. Here's a number to call.
You can reach us at 877-897-8255. That's 877-897-8255.
As I was sitting here listening to you, I told Gary, I said, I really miss her being on the show. And I was sitting here listening to you, and I said, gosh, I miss that woman. You need to show up here more often.
Are your joints feeling out of date and stiff? Is that old sports injury flaring up? Is your body aching from the daily wear and tear at work? Body Vigor's Joint Ready keeps you at the ready for any joint pain that gets out of line. Unfortunately, as we age, joint pain becomes more common. Body Vigor's Joint Ready can help provide relief so you can continue to go about your day. Our formula contains sulfated forms of glucosamine and chondroitin. Studies show that these sulfated forms are more effective than regular glucosamine bound to hydrochloride. Joint Ready promotes a healthy inflammatory response, facilitates cartilage synthesis, and provides additional antioxidants. Keep your joints at the ready with Body Vigor's Joint Ready, exclusively on Amazon.com.
back. Welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition, wherever and however you may be listening or watching the show, and whatever you may be doing. Dr. Amay Shani is my guest. Dr. Amay's out there on the left coast, had to get up pretty early to do the show, and we appreciate that. She is a naturopathic physician, has a nice practice out there in CA, and been doing this for 17 years, as she said. It's hard to believe. And as I said, with her, I miss having her on because with her, I know there's no pretense. None. No pretense. Not going to try to sell you a bill of goods or talk about something she doesn't know anything about. If she doesn't know, she'll tell you she doesn't know. I do the same, and I appreciate that. So, Dr. Amay, welcome back. How have you worked the CBD, the cannabidiol, into your practice? How have you done that?
Well, I started using it on myself and my family, right? So, because when I first became aware of it, I didn't know enough about it to feel comfortable using it with my patients, but I was very intrigued. So we started using it in my house, and my husband, by the time that I met him, he had kind of gotten used to the fact that he was just simply awake for several hours every night. He'd kind of wake up around 2 in the morning and just be up for a few hours. He didn't let it bother him too much, but it was kind of part of what happened. So when we started using the CBD, he actually started sleeping. Now, I have a lot of tricks up my sleeve for getting people to sleep. I had tried most everything on him, and nothing had really worked. So that was an amazing effect to me. And
let me ask you this.
Yeah.
In your diagnosis of him, what do you think was the reason that he was having insomnia? Was it stress? What do you think it was?
He's not a stressed out guy, and he's not an anxious guy. And when he would wake up in the night, he really wasn't particularly bothered by it. He would just quietly lay there. So, I don't know if it was hormonal changes that were happening, because it's something that didn't really start with him until he was in his late 40s and continued into his early 50s. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't a blood sugar thing. It wasn't, it certainly wasn't apnea. It was kind of this strange, what I call, idiopathic up in the middle of the night, meaning there's no real great explanation for it. But considering the fact that the CBD helped, right, sometimes we reverse diagnose. Considering the fact that the CBD helped, and we know that one of the things that CBD does is it helps to balance this endocannabinoid system. So even though he wasn't necessarily subjectively feeling stressed or anxious, clearly his endocannabinoid system was upregulating his nervous system so that he was vigilant during the night when he didn't need to be, when he should be resting and recovering.
So what happened when you put him on CV Sciences CBD oil?
I did.
What did you start him off with, and how long did it take before he started to sleep?
I started him on the 25 milligram capsules, which of course are no longer available retail, but that's what I had at the time, and I started him on that. And that didn't do very much. And then I started giving him 2 capsules, so 50 milligrams, and it started working great immediately. And what I've found in clinical practice is that when I find the right dose, which is not always simple and straightforward, when I find the right dose for somebody, if we are trying to work with a symptom that's very easy to see, like sleep, like anxiety, like pain, I will see results very quickly, which of course is part of why I have absolutely fallen in love with this ingredient, because as you know, in the realm of natural medicine, often we have to wait for results.
Yeah, it doesn't, you don't get a whiz-bang effect, yeah.
Yeah, and so so to see it quickly was great. And then the other thing about CBD, again, using my husband as the example, and this has borne out in clinical practice for me, is that once his system was more balanced, once he had what I call better endocannabinoid tone, right, the CBD had supported his own endocannabinoid system, we could go back down to 1 capsule, and 1 capsule would do the trick, right? And then
he sleeps through the night.
And he sleeps through the night generally. Occasionally he'll get up, but he goes back to sleep very quickly and easily. I didn't have the same kind of sleep problems as he did, but ever since my son was born, which is almost 10 years now, I've just been an outrageously light sleeper. Like I can hear him get up, my son get up to pee. Before he gets up to pee, I'm up waiting for him, And
It's amazing.
CBD has helped quiet me down so that I can sleep better through the night. And so those two experiences inspired me to start using with my patients. And when I first started, I used it a lot for sleep. That was the first thing I did clinically.
And it's worked out. What about pain? I get the question from time to time. People will ask me about CBD and pain. No, first they ask me about medical marijuana. They want to know, and I say I don't know much about medical marijuana. I said I do know a little bit about CBD as derived from hemp, and they often ask me about pain and CBD. What is your take on that?
Yeah, I think it can be fantastic for pain. It can work both centrally and peripherally, so it can be anti-inflammatory, and it can also be analgesic. So both of those things can affect pain. CBD has a really nice affinity for nerve pain as well. So when you get pain that's nervy, neuropathy, it can be really helpful. And then remember that because CBD is working globally on your system, it's calming you down, it's helping with anxiety, and so much around our pain, how we experience our pain, is related to our perception of our pain and how worried we are about our pain and how anxious we are about our pain.
Yeah.
So if we can calm those things down as well, we're also going to have success mitigating pain. So it really is working at pain on several different levels. And I've seen people be able to, lower some of their prescription meds, even sometimes get off of their prescription meds when they're using CBD. And by the way, that would go for when they're using CBD for anxiety, too. I have had some fantastic cases of people being able to get off of, their Ativan, their Xanax, their Valium by using CBD instead.
Have you noticed as maybe a side effect or just a consequence of using it in the practice that some patients were losing weight on it or visceral fat?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. Now, the science. I'm scanning through my patients right now. I don't think about giving CBD when somebody is trying to lose visceral fat, right? So it's not going to be my first line of therapy. But I do think that it contributes to the burning of visceral fat. It contributes to balanced blood sugar and less cravings, which one of the main questions my women will ask me is this going to give me the munchies, right?
Because they think it's from marijuana.
Right, exactly. But the studies show, and they're predominantly animal studies, but they do show that there is a real potential benefit here for better fat distribution, burning of visceral fat, and metabolic health with the product.
All right, when we come back, I'm going to ask Dr. Amay about the confusion between medical marijuana and CBD oil.
As a family-owned company since 1968, Now has spent the last 50 years becoming a trusted leader in the natural products industry. Now offers more than 1,400 high-quality supplements, sports nutrition, personal care products, essential oils.
Almost 52% of men experience erectile dysfunction and benign prostatic hyperplasia. If you've had challenges with virility, sexual health, or low energy, Body Vigor's Alpha Extension may be the answer for you. Body Vigor's Alpha Extension can help revitalize your alpha male and extend your love. Our formula is one of the highest quality nutraceuticals available, formulated to support the processes involved in promoting a healthy male sex drive, energy, and stamina. Alpha Extension has 2 powerful herbal blends, Virilomax, which focuses on male sexual health, and T-Pump Activator, which helps balance your testosterone levels. Revitalize your alpha male with Body Vigor's Alpha Extension, exclusively available on Amazon.com.
here's the LTN health question of the day. Earlier, I was, in the first hour, I was talking about the status of, well, I'm writing a series on aging, and I was talking about the status of aging in America. And in this first installment, part one, I talk about life expectancy in the United States, and I don't know if I talk about it around the world, but certainly in the U.S. And we're not ranking all that well compared to other nations. And I looked at different sources. Compared to other countries, the United States does not rank well in life expectancy. For example, the World Health Organization ranks the U.S. 31st. The United Nations World, that outfit, UN, it's called UN World, United Nations World, ranks the United States 43rd. The Central Intelligence Agency ranks us 43rd. And then the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, they're a bunch of optimists there. They rank us 26th. So we're not doing all that great in terms of life expectancy compared to other countries. But here's the question. In terms of life expectancy in the United States, who do you think has the longer life expectancy in the U.S.? And it's 80.4 years. Is it women or is it men? Who has the greater or the better life expectancy in the United States? Men or women or men, whatever. You can guess. You have a 50-50 chance of getting it right. 877-897-8255. 877-897-TALK. That's a toll-free number. Life expectancy is a metric that's used as a statistical measure. It sort of gives an overall sense of how well people are doing in a particular country or culture, society, overall. It's not the end-all or be-all, but it's one metric. Dr. May, welcome back. So the CBD oil, you mentioned now sleep, pain, anxiety, perhaps balancing blood sugar levels. So you've worked it into your practice now over the past couple of years. Are you currently taking it, or have you stopped taking it for a while?
I still take it.
You do? And when do you take it?
Well, I take one of the raw CBD capsules in the morning, basically as part of my multivitamin, if you will. I'm not looking for any particular therapeutic benefit, but I just feel like supporting your endocannabinoid system, my endocannabinoid system, with all of the different nutrients that are in the hemp extract, in addition to the CBD, is smart. So I take one of those in the morning, just as kind of for general.
You notice you use the word raw. CV Sciences, They have. Is that in a gel cap? The CBD oil raw, is that in a gel cap?
Yeah, so they have 3 different formulas, and the raw is basically the carbon dioxide extraction from the hemp plant right after it's harvested. So it's as close as you're going to get to the whole plant extract. It has the least amount of concentrated CBD in any of the products that CB Sciences produces, but it has the most rich, broad spectrum of all of the nutrients in the hemp plant, like flavonoids and plant sterols and essential fats and all isomers of vitamin E and terpenes, and it's a wonderful product.
Do you think does it moderate the immune system? If the immune system is underperforming or if it's overperforming, will the CBD pull it back into balance, or no, or doesn't it affect the immune system?
Studies absolutely support that. So I'm talking about preclinical studies, which means animal studies and studies of human cells in petri dishes, right? I'm not talking about direct human studies, but we have a lot of preclinical data with these cannabinoids, and it absolutely shows that it can modulate the immune system in a positive way, both in the brain and throughout the body. And that's because the CB2, or the cannabinoid 2 receptor in our bodies, are very densely distributed in the lymphoid tissue, where it acts on the immune system.
So let me ask you then, cancer patients, current, previous patients, either or, had it or have it, they're always concerned about their immune system failing them.
Right. Sure.
If you had cancer patients in your practice, you probably do, maybe you do, what would you say to them about taking CBD? Maybe would you recommend the raw, the gold, the what?
So it would kind of depend on where they were at in their treatment and what their overall health looked like.
They're in surveillance. They're in surveillance now.
Okay, they're in surveillance. So yeah, I mean, I would certainly do raw at the very least, and I would consider doing a more concentrated formula as well. Again, we don't have human data, but the preclinical data on animals and on human cell lines in cancer, in all types of, a huge variety of cancers, is incredible. If we had any other phytonutrient or any other, food ingredient that had this kind of preclinical data with cancer, we would be studying it on humans like crazy. But because it's related to the, forbidden evil cannabis plant, that kind of data has been kept from us. But
what kind of? I don't mean to keep stepping on you. I'm just watching the clock
That's
here.
Okay, I know how it goes.
I'm watching the clock.
Of course.
What is it about the CBD and cancer, even the preclinical stuff, that gets you so excited?
Well, I mean, it seems to have an ability to promote apoptosis, which is what happens in our bodies when our immune systems are functioning really well. Cancer cells pop up and the body goes, no, back down, right? That's
apoptosis, the body's ability to kill those cells.
Right, so it does that. It seems to, diminish the way that tumor cells can grow more blood vessels to feed themselves. It seems to impact, genetically what's happening when cancer takes over and tumors start to grow.
Right.
So several different aspects.
Yeah, see, that's why. Tell Stuart he needs to get you on here more, okay?
Okay.
Tell him, say, Doc said that he said please. He said, please ask you if I could be on the show more.
Okay. I will do that.
All right.
I promise.
Are you going to Expo West, yes or no?
I am.
All right. CV Sciences?
Yes, I'm going to be speaking on Saturday.
What time?
I think 1 o'clock.
All right, we're going to show up. I'm going to bring a band.
Ooh,
I'm going to bring a band.
Fantastic.
We'll find you. I think I have your cell number. If I don't, I'll email you and get it.
I'll email you my info.
Okay. And John's the winner. John and Osprey, you got it. We'll see you tomorrow.